All right guys, so throughout this channel, we have checked out so many different pair of budget truly wireless earbuds. And one of my favorites that I've ever tested was the JLab JBuds Air. It just had a lot of nice features and a really incredible sound for only 50 bucks. So today we're gonna check out the new improved version, which is the JBuds Air Icon. Now these come in at $60, so we're definitely gonna check out if it's worth the extra $10, but we're gonna look at some of the differences, but we're just gonna review these as a whole new earbud. So the first thing that I wanna point out is these have Bluetooth 5.0. They're IP55 water resistant, so if you're jogging or you're somebody that sweats heavily or they get splashed, you don't have to worry about it. One of the things that I've always liked about the originals, I'm glad that they kept, is the fact that the case has the built-in charging cable. So you don't have to keep up with an extra cable. You don't have to hear me complain whether it's micro USB or it's USB-C, it doesn't matter. The cable's built onto here, and so it just makes it convenient. Now, it also makes it where you have to worry that you don't rip or damage this, because if you do, there's no other way to charge the case. Now, as far as battery life goes, the earbuds themselves get 6 hours and the case gives it an additional 18. Now, if you do pick them up and they happen to be dead, you can charge them for 15 minutes and get an hour's worth of use. So also in the box, you get 3 sets of the gel ear tips, you get 1 set of the foam ear tips, and it also comes with 2 pair of the fins. Now the fins are essentially just bumpers that are keeping the earbuds from rolling around in your ear. So as far as the ear tips, the one that came on it, which I guess is like the medium size, had a little bit of a time getting a good seal, so I just switched them out with the large gel ear tips, and then it fit me perfect. One of the big improvements, I think, this year is they've added touch controls, where before you had the button, which, you know, some of them, especially the originals, if you had to push the button, it just felt like you were jamming them into your ear. But the fact that now they have touch controls makes it so much easier. And the touch controls control everything. You have volume control, track control, you can answer your phone calls, you can summon your smart assistant, and also just like the originals, it has 3 EQ settings in it that you also can control. And the thing I like about that is it's not dependent on an app. You can just control it within the earbud, which makes it really nice. All right, so one of the other big improvements this year is they've added dual pairing. So, you know, as to where before, one earbud was basically connected to another earbud that was connected to your phone. As to where this year, your phone is sending a signal separately to both. And so essentially that's keeping one from being dependent on the other to have a solid connection. And this makes for a better connection. Now, one thing I do want to point out that I think is a little weird, on their website, it shows that the mic is on the right ear only. But when you take them out of the case, you can clearly see there is a microphone on each one of them, and I tested them both individually, and the mics work on both of them. So from what I can tell, from what I've tested, the mic works on both. So you can take calls with both of them in your ear. You can use both of them individually. I was able to do that with no issue. And so as far as the mic quality goes, you can judge it by listening to a test here. All right, guys, so here is a mic test of the JBuds Air Icon. The mics on these are very solid. They pick up really well. And again, at the price point of $60, is very usable. All right, so now let's talk about the sound. As far as the overall sound quality, testing both of them side by side, I can honestly say I can't notice a difference. So I don't think they did anything sound-wise. I think most of the improvements were now adding the touch controls, but also adding the better connection and adding the ability to hear phone calls in both ears now, as to where before you can only hear it in one. But as far as the sound on these is really fun to listen to. Definitely not flat, definitely not a reference earbud. This is in your face, dynamic, just bass for days and clarity for days. Like, they didn't just focus on the bass. They definitely made it a point to make sure the mids were handled where vocals still come through, but also where the treble was pushed up to having a very vibrant, bright sound. Now, the 3 EQ settings that I talked about, you have JLab's signature sound, which is my favorite. You have a balanced sound, which to me, immediately makes it sound just dead. Not flat in a way where it's balancing everything out. It just completely takes the life out of the sound. So I am not a fan of the balanced sound signature at all. And the bass boost does what you think it would do. It's boosting the bass and it's not boosting anything else. One thing I think they definitely should add to this, because not everybody wants in-your-face bass, but some people just like extreme clarity. So just as easy as they added bass boost, I would like to see a treble boost on maybe a future version as well. So as far as sound imaging, the best way to describe this is I have a light here and a light here. It's essentially like standing right here and those being speakers. And that's about as much depth as you get from listening to these. So don't expect to hear something coming from that side, moving way over to this side, and being able to tell kind of the distance. It's like going into a club or going into a studio, and then you have these huge speakers right here in front of you. And for the most part, that's how most consumer headphones are. And these work really well with a lot of genres. They don't struggle like some do whenever there's a lot of stuff going on. It's able to separate all three frequencies, which is really impressive considering the price point. Mids do not suffer at all. Vocals, no matter what I was listening to, always had presence, whether it be male or female vocals. Guitars still had life to them. And I find with a lot of budget truly wireless earbuds, sometimes there's going to be a frequency that suffers because there's so much emphasis on one. So as far as complaints go, I really think they need to at least have a backup plan if the cable on the case breaks, because you have no other way to charge these, and then it pretty much makes your earbuds worthless. Also, as far as sound goes, I really think they need to add a treble boost option, not just assume that everybody wants that bass-driven sound, which I do, and I know a lot of you guys do, but there are also at times where you just want a brighter, cleaner sound, and you just don't want all that bass. So just like I thought before the original JBuds Air was a great deal at 50 bucks, I feel the exact same way about the new JBuds Air Icon. I think the $10 difference is definitely worth being able to have the touch response, because the buttons on the original had always been a pain. I also like the fact that now you can hear phone calls in both ears instead of just one. And then it's also nice that you can use either one of them individually. So a lot of you guys that like to take calls, or if you're in a work environment where you want to listen to stuff and be able to answer calls, but still be able to hear the people around you, it's just a very nice feature to have. But guys, that is my video on the new JLab JBuds Air Icon. These are available for pre-order right now on their website, which again, there is a link below. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.